Hello, and welcome to today's lesson. We're going to start with the do now. You should have already submitted do now. We're going to review together. So we have this pop code here. We have some directions that I'll read. So we're going to add additional vegetable to the vegetables variable. So we have vegetable variables here, declare if let. And inside, there's something saved. I think broccoli, carrot, celery. I'm going to add a new vegetable, onion. Okay, and you can see that onion is showing up here. Okay, and now we want to make the vegetable appear first in the list. Okay, let's give that a shot. So I'm going to actually remove this here and add it to the front. And I think that should make it appear first. Okay, and I put the comma in the wrong place. And there. Okay, so that's the do now. All right, we're gonna move on to the objectives for today. Let's read the objective together. 1, 2, 3. Coders, we create an array. And then we have our vocabulary, array element, square brackets, and index. So we've worked with two data types so far, numbers and strings. We've used variables to store these data types in the past, and now we're going to learn how to store and organize these data types with a new tool. You all know how to organize and structure content on web pages through HTML and your HTML tags and nesting, but we're going to learn how to structure and organize data in JavaScript. And the way we're going to do this is with an array. So an array is a data structure that stores multiple values in a single variable. So instead of declaring 3 different variables to store these vegetables, carrots, broccoli, and celery, we have one array named vegetables that has 3 different array elements. So here's a real world example of this, right? So we have this pop code pane and that red square we can see in an array of different projects with different names. Or here on Amazon, we can see an array of products, right? So in that red box, you can see there's a foam ball, there's a trampoline, wind stakes, and then there's some trampoline, right? So as I mentioned before, an array element is each individual value in an array. So this array named grades has 3 different elements. Elements are 100, 90, and 80. And these are numbers, all right? So this array called grades has 3 array elements. They're all numbers. It's 100, 90, and 80. So we declare a new variable to give the array a name, right? So just like every variable has a name. With arrays, you're gonna need these square brackets to hold them. And you also need commas between each array element to separate them. The reason why we have quotation marks here is because these are strings, right? So if there was a number, wouldn't need quotation marks, but we still need the commas and we still need the square brackets. Cool. So you can think of an array like a box of cookies. I know we all love cookies here. So we have these square brackets. So that's the box. And inside the box, we have these array elements. In this case, they're cookies, or they can be different flavors of ice cream with different flavors of cookies. All right, so let's see. We went through this a bit before, but how can we write the following variables as a single array? All right, take a second to think about that. So what I would do is I would declare a variable with the keyword let. The variable name would be vegetables, and I would assign that variable to be equal to an array. An array, so with my array, I'd have my square brackets. Now I'd have broccoli, comma, carrots, comma, celery. And then I'd close out my array with my other square bracket. So imagine you're building a social media platform. How could you use an array to store friends? Right, so similar, I have an array called friends maybe. And I would assign that array, have my square brackets, and I'd have, Ross and Monica and Joey in this array of friends, right? All right, let's do this together. We're gonna move on to the guided practice. We're gonna do task 1 and create an array called song list. All right. So task 1, update the variable song list so that is an array with at least 3 song titles, okay? So let's get our 3 song titles. We'll have Sweet Home Alabama. We'll have God's Plan. And we'll have Don't Stop Believing. Okay? Hopefully I spelled that right. I don't think I did, actually. Anyways, I'm going to log this out in the console, see what happens. Oh, made a mistake. Mistakes are perfectly fine. Everybody makes mistakes. So song list is actually going to go in the quotation marks of the function. All right, and now we can see it's logged out Sweet Home Alabama, God's Plan, and Don't Stop Believing. And those slashes there just because the apostrophe kind of looks like a quote. All right, so there's our guided practice. Now you're gonna pause this video and complete the independent practice. And for your independent practice, you're gonna complete tasks 2 through 4. When you're done, you can unpause this video and we'll get back to the next objective. Okay, welcome back. We have a new objective. We got some more to learn today, okay? Let's read this together. 1, 2, 3. Coders will retrieve an array element using the index. Vocabulary is array element, square brackets, and index. All right, so an array index is the location of an array element. The first array index is 0, not 1. And this is pretty tricky. People make mistakes with this all the time, but the first array index is 0, not 1. So here we have an array called teachers, and this array has 5 array elements. But, you know, Andrew has an index of 0, so that's the location of Andrew. Emily has an index of 1, Jess has an index of 2, Naomi has an index of 3, and Peter has an index of 4. Okay? So this is the position of those array elements. All right? In order to retrieve something out of an array or get something out of an array, you have to use the array name and then give the array index. All right? So the location of the array. So teachers square bracket 0 would give me Andrew. Teachers square bracket 1 would give me Emily, and that's how I can retrieve or get something out of the array. All right? So what is the element at array index 2 here? Okay, so I know Andrew is 0, Emily is 1, so Jess must be at array index 2. What is the index of Peter? Okay, if I know Andrew's 0, Emily's 1, Jess is 2, Naomi is 3, and Peter must be index of 4. There we go. All right, let's continue on the array practice. We're gonna do task 5 together. Okay, so task 5 is asking me for my favorite song in the song list array. So my favorite song is going to be God's Plan. All right, so how do I get God's Plan out of this? Okay, so I have song list is the array that I'm trying to retrieve something out of, and I have to use the index to get that. So is my index going to be 0, 1, or 2? Now it looks like God's Plan is the second array element, so it should be 1. And let's see what happens when I log this out to check my answer. Okay, there we go. God's Plan is logged out. Perfect. All right. And on to the next slide, where you're going to get some practice of your own. So now you're going to complete tasks 6 through 8 by yourself, and make sure you read directions. I'll actually read the directions with you. So update the variable best student to retrieve your name from the class list array. Update the variable tallest teacher, retrieve the array element of tallest teacher in the teacher list array. And update the variable oldest member to retrieve the array element of the oldest member of your family in the family ages array, right? And you should have done all these other tasks up here already previously in this lesson when you paused, all right? So don't forget to do your independent practice and don't forget to submit your exit ticket, okay? But before we go, I gotta do a little joke for you. So why did the programmer quit their job? Because they didn't get a raise. All right, see you later.